There's a moment when someone stops being just a person in your life and becomes a feeling you can't forget. You don't become unforgettable by chasing attention. You become unforgettable by the way you carry yourself, the standards you hold, and the energy you leave behind. Today, let's uncover the 7 habits that make a woman impossible to forget. A woman who knows her worth does not walk into every room wondering if she is enough. She does not measure herself by how much attention she receives, how quickly someone responds to her message, how many people approve of her choices, or whether someone chooses to stay. Her confidence comes from somewhere deeper. It comes from knowing who she is, what she stands for, and what she will no longer tolerate. That kind of self-respect creates an energy people can feel without her having to announce it. Validation can be addictive because it gives you a temporary feeling of security. Someone compliments you, you feel valuable. Someone chooses you, you feel wanted. Someone praises your work, you feel capable. But when your sense of worth depends on external approval, you hand other people the power to decide how you feel about yourself. The moment their attention disappears, your confidence disappears with it. A woman who knows her worth refuses to live that way. She can appreciate love, compliments, recognition, and attention without becoming dependent on them. She understands that being rejected does not make her less valuable. Being ignored does not make her invisible. Being misunderstood does not make her wrong. Someone walking away does not automatically mean she was not enough. Sometimes people leave because they are not capable of meeting you where you are. Sometimes they cannot appreciate what you bring. Sometimes the relationship simply has reached its natural ending. A woman who knows her worth does not turn every departure into a personal judgment. She also stops performing for acceptance. She does not change her personality just to fit into someone else's expectations. She does not pretend to enjoy things she dislikes simply because everyone else does. She does not silence her opinions because she is afraid someone might disagree. She can listen, learn, and grow while still remaining connected to her own identity. There is strength in being able to say, "This is who I am," without needing everyone in the room to agree. Knowing your worth also means understanding your standards. Standards are not about demanding perfection from other people. They are about deciding what kind of treatment you are willing to accept. A woman who respects herself pays attention to consistency, honesty, effort, and character. She does not make excuses for repeated disrespect just because she has strong feelings for someone. She understands that attraction can be powerful, but self-respect must be stronger. She knows the difference between being wanted and being valued. Anyone can desire your attention when it benefits them. But being valued means someone respects your time, your emotions, your boundaries, your goals, and your individuality. She does not confuse temporary attention with genuine appreciation. She watches actions instead of becoming addicted to promises. She allows people to reveal themselves through consistency rather than trying to convince them to become someone they are not. Most importantly, she does not abandon herself to keep someone else. She can love deeply without losing her identity. She can care without becoming consumed. She can give without giving everything away. She understands that healthy love should add to her life, not require her to destroy herself to maintain it. Her relationships matter, but they are not the entire definition of who she is. And when she enters a room, people notice something different. Not because she is demanding attention, but because she is not desperate for it. She is comfortable with silence. She is comfortable saying no. She is comfortable walking away from situations that repeatedly diminish her. She does not need to prove that she is powerful because her behavior already communicates it. Her confidence is quiet because it does not need an audience. This is what makes self-worth so powerful. It changes the way you speak, the way you choose, the way you love, the way you respond to rejection, and the way you walk away. When you stop asking, "Do they think I'm enough?" and start asking, "Does this align with the woman I choose to become?" your entire life begins to change. She listens deeply and makes people feel seen because she understands something most people overlook. Being heard is one of the rarest forms of connection. In a world where everyone is waiting for their turn to speak, a woman who genuinely listens creates an experience people remember. She is not listening simply to respond. She is listening to understand. She pays attention to the words, the pauses, the emotions, and the things someone struggles to say directly. When you give someone your full attention, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. You matter. That does not mean agreeing with everything someone says. It means being present enough to understand their perspective before judging it. A woman who has developed this habit does not constantly check her phone while someone is sharing something important. She does not interrupt every sentence with a story about herself. She does not turn every conversation into an opportunity to prove how much she knows. Instead, she creates space for another person to express themselves honestly. There is a difference between hearing someone and actually listening to them. Hearing is passive. Listening requires intention. It means noticing when someone's voice changes because a particular subject is painful. It means remembering the small detail they mentioned weeks ago. It means recognizing when someone says, "I'm fine," but their energy communicates something completely different. This kind of attention makes people feel understood in a way that compliments alone never can. She also understands that people do not always need solutions. Sometimes they need someone who can sit with them while they process what they are feeling. The instinct to immediately fix everything can make people feel dismissed, even when the intention is good. A woman who listens deeply knows when to offer advice and when to simply say, "I understand why that affected you." She does not rush people through their emotions because she is uncomfortable with silence or vulnerability. This habit becomes especially powerful in relationships. When someone feels consistently heard, trust begins to grow. They become more comfortable sharing their fears, ambitions, disappointments, and dreams. They know they can speak without immediately being criticized or dismissed. That sense of emotional safety can create a connection far stronger than surface-level attraction. People remember the person who made them feel safe enough to be honest. But listening deeply does not mean becoming emotionally responsible for everyone around you. A woman who knows her worth can listen without absorbing every problem. She can care without carrying everything. She can understand someone's pain without allowing that pain to control her life. Her empathy has boundaries. She knows that being compassionate does not require her to sacrifice her own peace. She also asks meaningful questions. Instead of keeping conversations at the surface, she becomes curious about what motivates people. What are they building? What are they afraid of? What matters to them? What experiences shape them? What do they want their life to become? These questions create conversations that people remember because they go beyond small talk. They communicate genuine interest rather than forced attention, and she remembers what matters. If someone tells her about an important goal, she checks on it later. If someone mentions a difficult day, she remembers. If someone shares something personal, she treats it with respect. These small moments may seem insignificant, but they create emotional fingerprints. People may forget the exact words you used, but they rarely forget how you made them feel while they were speaking. This is why deep listening can make a woman emotionally unforgettable. She does not leave people impressed because she dominated every conversation. She leaves an impression because people felt more understood after speaking with her. They felt accepted without being judged, respected without being flattered, and important without being manipulated. In a culture where attention is constantly divided, giving someone your complete presence becomes a rare form of confidence. You are not afraid of silence. You are not desperate to prove yourself. You are secure enough to let another person have the spotlight for a moment. You understand that your value does not decrease when someone else is speaking, and when people repeatedly experience that kind of presence around you, they begin to associate you with something deeper than appearance, excitement, or temporary attraction. They remember the calmness of the conversation, the feeling of being understood, the sense that their words actually mattered, and the quiet emotional connection that remained long after the conversation ended. A woman who protects her peace understands that not every situation deserves her reaction, not every person deserves access to her energy, and not every problem deserves a place in her mind. She has learned that peace is not something she finds after everything in life becomes perfect. Peace is something she chooses to protect while life is still complicated, uncertain, and sometimes unfair. She stops believing that she has to respond to every message, explain every decision, win every argument, or prove herself to every person who misunderstands her. Boundaries become a natural part of that mindset. She understands that saying no does not make her selfish, cold, or difficult. It means she understands her limits. She knows when she has given enough, when a conversation has become disrespectful, when someone's behavior has crossed a line, and when continuing to engage will only drain her emotionally. Instead of constantly trying to keep everyone happy, she begins asking herself whether the situation is healthy for her. This does not mean she becomes distant from people. In fact, Strong boundaries often allow her to build healthier relationships because people know where she stands. She communicates clearly instead of expecting others to read her mind. If something bothers her, she addresses it. If something is unacceptable, she says so. If someone repeatedly ignores her boundaries, she does not spend endless energy trying to convince them to respect her. She lets their behavior give her the information she needs. There is tremendous emotional strength in refusing to participate in unnecessary drama. Some people will provoke you simply because they want a reaction. They may criticize you, misunderstand you, gossip about you, or attempt to pull you into arguments that have nothing to do with your growth. A woman who protects her peace does not automatically take the bait. She pauses before responding. She asks whether the situation deserves her energy. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. She also learns that peace sometimes requires distance. Not every relationship is meant to remain close forever. Some connections become exhausting because they are built on criticism, manipulation, competition, or constant emotional demands. Walking away from those dynamics can feel uncomfortable, especially when you have history with someone. But history does not create an obligation to tolerate unhealthy behavior forever. You can appreciate what a relationship once meant while still recognizing that it no longer belongs in your life. Protecting peace also means becoming careful about what you allow into your mind. She pays attention to the conversations she repeatedly consumes, the people she constantly compares herself to, and the content that leaves her feeling inadequate or anxious. She realizes that emotional exhaustion does not always come from major life events. Sometimes it comes from hundreds of small exposures to negativity, comparison, conflict, and unnecessary pressure. She creates space for herself. She does not feel guilty for taking time alone. She understands that solitude can be restorative rather than lonely. In quiet moments, she can hear her own thoughts again. She can reconnect with her goals, evaluate her choices, and remember what actually matters to her. She does not need constant stimulation or constant attention to feel valuable. A woman who protects her peace also stops over-explaining herself. When she makes a decision based on her values, she does not feel obligated to create a 20-minute presentation explaining why she made it. She can communicate respectfully and move forward. She understands that some people will criticize her regardless of how carefully she explains herself. So she stops trying to earn approval from people committed to misunderstanding her. Her boundaries become even stronger when she realizes that access to her is not an automatic right. Her time, attention, emotional energy, and trust are valuable. She gives them intentionally. She does not allow someone to repeatedly disrespect her and then return whenever they want attention. She does not confuse forgiveness with unlimited access. She can release anger while still maintaining distance. This kind of woman becomes emotionally unforgettable because her presence feels peaceful. She is not constantly creating conflict or demanding reassurance. She brings stability because she has learned how to regulate herself. She does not need chaos to feel alive. She does not mistake emotional turbulence for passion. She knows that real connection can exist without manipulation, games, jealousy, or constant uncertainty. And when she protects her peace consistently, something changes inside her. She becomes less reactive, more intentional, and more selective about where she invests herself. She stops chasing situations that disturb her and starts building a life that feels aligned with who she wants to become. While learning that protecting her peace is not about controlling the world around her, but about choosing what deserves a place within her world. A woman who never chases what does not choose her understands that love, attention, respect, and connection cannot be forced. She does not confuse persistence with devotion. She does not spend her life trying to convince someone of her value when their actions repeatedly show that they are not willing to recognize it. She understands that there is a profound difference between making an effort and abandoning yourself in pursuit of someone who is giving you nothing in return. Chasing often begins with something innocent. You like someone, you want the relationship to work, and you naturally want to make an effort. But there comes a point where effort becomes desperation. You start sending another message because they did not answer the first one. You start changing yourself because you think they might like a different version of you. You start accepting inconsistent behavior because you are afraid that demanding better treatment might make them leave. Slowly, the desire to keep someone becomes more important than the desire to respect yourself. A woman who knows her worth refuses to live from that place. She gives people room to show their intentions through their actions. She does not constantly fill the silence when someone becomes distant. She does not create excuses for someone who repeatedly gives her the bare minimum. She observes. She pays attention. She allows people to reveal whether they genuinely want to be part of her life. This does not mean she plays games or pretends not to care. She can communicate her feelings honestly. She can express interest. She can make the first move. She can show affection. There is nothing weak about being open. The difference is that she does not continue running after someone who keeps walking away. She can offer connection without begging for it. She understands that mutual effort matters. A healthy relationship cannot survive when one person is always initiating, always apologizing, always planning, always compromising, and always trying to repair what the other person keeps breaking. Eventually, that imbalance becomes exhausting. She learns that love should not require her to constantly prove why she deserves basic consideration. When someone chooses her, she can feel the difference. She does not have to decode every interaction. She does not have to constantly wonder where she stands. Their actions create clarity. They make time. They communicate. They follow through. They show interest consistently. She understands that consistency is one of the clearest forms of emotional communication. She also stops chasing closure from people who refuse to give it. Sometimes you will never receive the perfect explanation for why someone changed, disappeared, betrayed your trust, or walked away. Waiting for that explanation can keep you emotionally connected to a situation that has already ended. A woman who respects herself learns to create closure through acceptance. She does not need another person's final words to begin moving forward. This mindset changes how she handles rejection. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" she asks, "What is this experience teaching me?" Rejection can hurt, but it does not have to destroy her confidence. Someone not choosing her may simply mean that the connection was not mutual. She does not turn another person's decision into a permanent judgment of her identity. She also understands that chasing can make you ignore what is directly in front of you. When you become obsessed with getting someone to choose you, you may overlook the people who already value your presence. You may miss opportunities because all your emotional energy is focused on one person who is uncertain about you. She learns to stop staring at a closed door while ignoring the doors that are already open. There is something deeply attractive about someone who can walk away with dignity. Not because she wants to make someone regret losing her, but because she understands that her life must continue regardless of who stays. She does not use distance as a manipulation tactic. She uses it as self-respect. If the relationship requires her to constantly abandon her standards, she chooses herself. The woman who never chases what does not choose her becomes emotionally unforgettable because she leaves behind a sense of strength. People remember someone who cared without clinging, loved without losing herself, and walked away without creating unnecessary destruction. Her confidence does not come from believing everyone should want her. It comes from knowing that she does not need to convince anyone to see her value. She gives people freedom to choose, and she gives herself the same freedom. She can say, "I want you," without saying, "I need you to validate me." She can care deeply without making someone else's decision the center of her existence. She understands that the right connection does not require endless pursuit, because when two people genuinely choose each other, effort begins to move in both directions, naturally, consistently, and without one person having to carry the entire relationship alone. She leads with confidence, not ego, because she understands that true confidence does not require her to be the loudest person in the room. She does not need to dominate conversations, prove that she is better than everyone else, or constantly remind people of her accomplishments. Her confidence is visible through the way she carries herself, the way she makes decisions, and the way she responds when things do not go according to plan. She knows who she is without needing to make other people feel smaller. There is a difference between confidence and ego. Ego needs comparison. Confidence does not. Ego asks, "Am I better than them?" Confidence asks, "Am I becoming better than I was yesterday?" A woman who leads with confidence is not threatened by another woman's beauty, success, intelligence, or achievements. She can celebrate someone else's greatness without questioning her own. She understands that another person's light does not make hers any dimmer. She does not walk into every situation trying to prove herself. She allows her actions to speak. When she knows something, she shares it without arrogance. When she does not know something, she is comfortable admitting it. She can say, "I was wrong." She can apologize without feeling weak. She can change her mind when new information gives her a better perspective. Her confidence is strong enough to survive being corrected. This kind of confidence also appears in the way she makes decisions. She does not need 10 people to approve every choice before she feels comfortable moving forward. She listens to advice, considers different perspectives, and then takes responsibility for her own decisions. She understands that seeking guidance is not weakness, but constantly needing permission to live her life can become a prison. She knows that leadership begins with self-leadership. Before she can influence anyone else, she learns how to manage her own emotions, habits, time, and priorities. She does not allow every mood to control her behavior. She can feel anger without becoming destructive. She can feel fear without allowing it to make every decision. She can feel disappointment without allowing it to define her identity. A confident woman also understands the power of calmness. When someone tries to provoke her, she does not immediately react. She creates space between the emotion and the response. That pause gives her control. She does not surrender her dignity just because someone else temporarily lost theirs. She can remain composed without becoming passive. And she can be firm without becoming cruel. She also speaks clearly. She does not hide her needs behind hints and expectations. If something matters to her, she communicates it. If she disagrees, she can express that disagreement respectfully. If she wants something, she can ask for it. She understands that confidence is not about never feeling nervous. It is about being willing to speak even when nervousness is present. Her confidence becomes especially powerful when she enters unfamiliar environments. She does not assume she has to know everything before she begins. She is willing to learn. She asks questions. She listens to people who have experience. She allows herself to be a beginner without feeling embarrassed. That humility makes her more capable because she is not wasting energy pretending to know what she does not know. She also refuses to use confidence as a weapon. She does not insult other people to feel powerful. She does not manipulate conversations to maintain control. She does not turn every disagreement into a competition. She knows that strength can be gentle. Leadership can be compassionate. Authority can exist without intimidation. People naturally trust this kind of woman because her confidence feels secure rather than threatening. They know she does not need constant praise to remain stable. They know she can handle disagreement. They know she can accept responsibility. They know she will not collapse when someone challenges her perspective. Her presence creates respect because she respects herself and the people around her. This is one of the habits that makes a woman emotionally unforgettable. People may forget exactly what she wore, what she said, or how she entered the room, but they remember the feeling of being around someone who was completely comfortable with herself. She did not need to perform. She did not need to compete. She did not need to prove that she belonged. She simply showed up with clarity, composure, and self-respect. And when confidence becomes part of her character rather than a performance, she stops asking whether people are impressed by her and starts focusing on whether her actions reflect the woman she wants to become, choosing courage over approval, growth over comparison, and quiet strength over the constant need to be seen, while allowing her confidence to speak through the life she builds rather than through the image she tries to create. She makes people feel valued through small actions because she understands that emotional impact is rarely created by one dramatic gesture. More often, it is built through the little things people experience repeatedly. Remembering someone's name, asking about something they mentioned days ago, checking in when they are having a difficult time, listening without looking at the clock, or simply noticing when someone seems different can create a feeling that stays with them long after the moment has passed. A woman who understands this does not wait for special occasions to show appreciation. She realizes that people want to feel important in ordinary moments. A simple message saying, "I remembered what you told me," can mean more than an expensive gift. A sincere compliment at the right moment can change someone's entire day. Asking someone how their presentation went, remembering their favorite coffee, or noticing that they seem unusually quiet communicates something powerful. I pay attention to you. This kind of attention is different from trying to impress people. She does not perform kindness because she wants something in return. She does not keep a mental record of every good thing she has done so she can demand repayment later. Her actions come from genuine awareness. She understands that kindness has the greatest impact when it is given without manipulation. She also knows that encouragement can be incredibly powerful. People often carry private doubts that nobody else can see. Someone may look confident while secretly wondering whether they are capable of succeeding. A A woman who makes people feel valued notices potential before the person fully sees it themselves. She can say, "I believe you can do this," and genuinely mean it. Those words may seem small, but they can become the words someone remembers when they are close to giving up. She gives credit generously. When someone helps her, she acknowledges it. When someone contributes to a success, she does not take all the recognition for herself. She understands that making other people feel appreciated does not reduce her own importance. In fact, confident people are often the most generous with recognition because they do not need to steal someone else's moment to feel significant. She also understands the importance of being present during difficult moments. It is easy to celebrate someone's success. It is much more meaningful to remain present when they are struggling. Sometimes people do not need advice, solutions, or motivational speeches. They simply need someone who will sit beside them without making them feel like a burden. A woman who can provide that kind of presence creates emotional safety. Small acts of consideration also reveal character. Holding space for someone who needs to speak, offering help when someone is overwhelmed, thanking people who are often overlooked, or remembering an important date can create powerful emotional associations. These actions tell people that they are not invisible. They matter enough to be noticed. She does not limit this behavior to people she wants something from. She treats service workers with respect. She acknowledges the effort of colleagues. She appreciates friends who consistently show up. She expresses gratitude to family members. Her kindness is not selective based on status. That consistency makes her character believable, because people can see that respect is part of who she is rather than a strategy she uses to gain approval. She also understands that words matter. But timing matters too. Saying something meaningful when someone genuinely needs to hear it can have a much greater impact than saying it randomly. Telling someone, "I'm proud of you," after watching them struggle through something difficult can reach a part of them that casual compliments never touch. She pays attention to what people need emotionally rather than simply saying, "Whatever sounds good." This is why emotionally unforgettable people are often remembered for moments that seemed insignificant at the time. Someone remembers the person who called when everyone else disappeared. Someone remembers who believed in them before they succeeded. Someone remembers who listened without judgment. Someone remembers who noticed the small change in their mood when nobody else did. A woman who develops this habit does not need to become everyone's favorite person. She simply becomes someone whose presence has meaning. People feel respected around her because she pays attention to the human being behind the role, the title, the appearance, or the success. She understands that every person wants to feel seen, heard, appreciated, and respected, and the more consistently she practices these small acts, the more naturally they become part of her identity. She stops thinking about how to make an impression because she is genuinely interested in making a difference. She leaves people feeling slightly stronger, slightly more appreciated, or slightly more understood than they did before they met her, allowing those ordinary moments of attention, kindness, and genuine presence to become the quiet reasons people continue to remember her long after the conversation has ended. She leaves a lasting impact without trying to impress anyone, because she understands that the strongest impressions are rarely created through performance. You do not become unforgettable by constantly trying to make people remember you. You become unforgettable by being genuine, consistent, and present enough that people experience something meaningful when they are around you. Her goal is not to enter every room and become the center of attention. Her goal is to leave people feeling that their interaction with her actually mattered. A woman who understands this does not build her personality around being admired. She does not change her opinions to become popular or exaggerate her achievements to appear more successful. She is comfortable letting people discover who she is over time. There is something powerful about a person who does not rush to prove herself because she knows that authenticity has a way of revealing itself without force. She focuses on the quality of her character. She keeps her promises. She treats people with respect even when there is nothing to gain. She remains kind when nobody important is watching. She does not become a completely different person depending on who enters the room. Her consistency creates trust, and trust creates emotional connection. She also understands that people remember how you made them feel more than they remember the details of what you said. You may forget an exact conversation from years ago, but you rarely forget someone who made you feel understood when you were struggling. You remember the person who encouraged you when you doubted yourself. You remember the person who believed in your potential. You remember the person who treated you with dignity when you felt invisible. That is why she does not obsess over appearances. She takes care of herself, carries herself with confidence, and presents herself well, but she knows that beauty without character creates only a temporary impression. What lasts is the way she communicates, the way she listens, the way she handles conflict, and the way she treats people when she has nothing to gain from them. She also avoids unnecessary competition. She does not need to prove that she is smarter, prettier, more successful, or more desirable than another woman. She understands that constantly comparing yourself with others makes your life about their scoreboard instead of your own. Her focus remains on becoming better, wiser, stronger, and more aligned with her values. There is also a quiet power in knowing when not to speak. She does not feel pressure to comment on everything. She does not participate in every argument. She does not spread information simply because it is interesting. She understands that restraint can communicate more maturity than endless explanation. Her silence is not insecurity. It is often a conscious decision to protect her energy and maintain her dignity. When she does speak, her words carry more weight because she does not waste them trying to impress. She communicates with intention. She can tell someone the truth without humiliating them. She can disagree without becoming disrespectful. She can express love without becoming dependent. She can establish boundaries without creating unnecessary hostility. She also understands that being unforgettable does not mean being perfect. She makes mistakes. She has difficult days. She sometimes gets emotional or uncertain. But she does not pretend to be flawless. She takes responsibility when she is wrong and learns from the experience. That honesty makes her more relatable because people do not connect deeply with perfection. They connect with authenticity. Her impact becomes even stronger when she encourages other people to become more themselves. She does not make people feel like they have to perform around her. She creates space for them to speak, grow, laugh, question, and be honest. Instead of demanding attention, she gives attention. Instead of constantly seeking approval, she gives genuine appreciation. Instead of trying to control how people perceive her, she focuses on the kind of person she chooses to be. This is what separates a lasting impression from temporary attention. Attention can be purchased, manipulated, or demanded. Emotional impact has to be earned through consistency. A woman who understands this stops asking, "How can I make them remember me?" and starts asking, "What kind of experience do people have when they are around me?" She knows that her legacy is created through countless small interactions. The way she speaks to someone who is struggling, the way she responds when disappointed, the way she treats someone who cannot offer her anything, the way she handles success without becoming arrogant, the way she handles rejection without becoming bitter, the way she walks away without destroying everything behind her, and eventually, people remember her not because she tried desperately to be unforgettable, but because her presence carried something real. She brought confidence without arrogance, kindness without weakness, boundaries without cruelty, and warmth without losing herself. She did not need to chase attention because she understood that the deepest impact comes from living with enough authenticity and self. Respect that people feel something meaningful simply by having known you, while allowing your character choices and quiet consistency to speak for you long after you are no longer in the room.